Hello, my name is Austin Jarrett from Allett Mowers. What I'd like to talk about today is these two mowers, the Allett Cambridge 43 and the Stirling models of mowers. Allett have a range of about 32 different lawn mowers, going right up to professional mowers that are used in stadiums, to the smallest mower to use in the garden. And I understand how often that can be really confusing if you're just coming on to buy a lawnmower. So today what I want to look at is these two models. These are our biggest selling mowers that we have in our homeowner range, and so you need to have some sort of comparison to be able to make the decision on which is going to be the best mower for you. So I hope the next 15 minutes are going to be helpful to you, and you'll end up being able to make a decision really easily. So similarities on these mowers, both the Stirling and the Cambridge are battery driven mowers, and of course battery brings around so many advantages in terms of quietness and cleanness in the garden. There's no fuel that you have to manage in the garden. It's generally easy to maintain. There's no oil levels, spark plugs. If you want to be environmental and you buy your electricity from renewable sources, or you have solar panels on your roof, then you really are mowing with sunshine with these two machines, which is a really nice feeling. And of course, there's no recoil start, so the starting that you have with the traditional petrol engine machine, that's all over as well. So that should make things a lot easier. But they're both cylinder mowers, and of course, just as a reminder, cylinder mowers cut the grass like scissors. So it's a really nice clean cut, and that gives us much better plant health. And this is really important. They have rear rollers, so both of them with a rear roller means that it creates really strong striping. We love those strong stripes at Allett. The roller also helps level the lawn, and it helps reduce the ground pressure over maybe having a four-wheel or four-tired mower. That lower ground pressure means that you get less compaction and less unevenness. And of course, with a roller at the front and the roller at the back on both of these models, you end up with no unsightly wheel marks. You just get contrasting light green, dark green stripes. Both the Stirling and the Cambridge have individual videos that we've already shot, so do a search for those in YouTube and you'll get into the detail of each one of these products. Today I just want to give you a comparator so you can, if it's confusing to you as to what the differences are between these two mowers, hopefully you'll be clear that what you pay for and what you get is the right thing for you to do. So how are you going to choose, and what really are the differences? So I'm going to start off with probably the big one, which is about price. So the Cambridge is actually, for a 17-inch equivalent mower, is about half the price of the Stirling. So that's a really big consideration. Hopefully in the next 10 minutes you'll understand that there are features and specifications in the two products which mean that they are at a different price point just because they cost more to make. I'm a manufacturer, right? So I'm going to say that. So this will depend on your budget, and it will probably depend on how fanatical you are about your lawn and how often you're using your lawnmower. With both mowers, you're going to be a fairly regular user because you want a really nice lawn. But I think if you have a larger lawn, then you will be able to justify the extra expense for the higher specification Stirling machines. Both of these machines are available in 17-inch. The Cambridge is only 17-inch, that's 43 centimetres, and the Stirling comes in both 17-inch and 20-inch. So part of your decision, and you can leave this video right now, if you have a larger lawn, certainly over 400 metres, I would be going for a 20-inch wide machine, just because not only is it quicker, but levelling effect is better, and I think the stripes sit nicer on a wider lawn if the stripes are slightly wider as well. So please take that into consideration. Battery platforms. So the battery platforms are different. We've chosen different ones. On the more budget priced Cambridge machine, we're using Greenworks batteries. Now, Greenworks we've been using now for 8 years, and really reliable system. This battery here is a 40 volt max system, and you need to compare the amount of energy there are in batteries. This is a 40 volt system, and on the Stirling we're using the Ego platform, which is 56 volts. To be honest, the voltage really doesn't make that much difference. It's about the amount of energy and the amount of cells that are in each of the batteries. So this 4 amp hour battery that we're using in the Cambridge, which will give us about 400 square meters of mowing, has 144 watt hours of energy in this battery. The Ego battery, by comparison, is larger. It has more cells. So that's not to do with the 56 volt, and the energy that we have in this battery is 280 watt hours. So roughly within the 5 amp hour battery that I have here, that we have nearly twice as much energy as we do in the Greenworks. This is a lighter machine, so it takes less energy anyway, but if I have a larger lawn, the convenience, without doubt, of having the larger battery is there. You can also buy the Stirling with a 10 amp hour battery, which of course has twice as much energy, but the 5 amp hour here will deliver about 600 square meters of mowing in this heavier mower. So with batteries, you have a choice to make. If you have a larger lawn, or certainly when you're scarifying, which takes more energy, and you want more energy, you can either buy a second battery and swap the batteries over, put one on charge, and that will give you almost perpetual mowing, in fact. Or with the Stirling, you go for a bigger battery instead of going for 2 batteries. So whichever way around you want to do that, the choice is yours. The other thing you need to consider with your choice of mower, and therefore the choice of platform, is whether or not you already have either the Greenworks system or the Ego system, because they have some great power tools like this. So I can drop the Greenworks battery straight into this Greenworks strimmer, and I just use this for edging up. It's a really nice machine to be able to do that. So that might also influence your decision based on what tools that you already have, because the batteries are quite an expensive part of the system, and you can buy both mowers without batteries to reduce the cost if you already own these. The next difference is about power. The Cambridge has a single 410 watt motor, and that motor drives the whole mower, both the cylinder or the reel and the rear roller. The Stirling is a more sophisticated product in that it has a 1 kilowatt motor driving the reel and a separate 210 watt motor which drives the rear roller. So what does that mean? So it is about more power, and that means that when you're mowing or cultivating, you have more power in the more expensive mower, as you would expect, to be able to cut the grass, or certainly when you're doing verticutting or scarifying. That's not to say that the Cambridge hasn't got enough power to do that, but what we are able to do is that this machine will work deeper in its cultivation mode, and then that means that you need more power to be able to achieve that. So it gives greater versatility in the machine itself. The 2 motors that are within the Stirling, what does that mean? One driving the reel, one driving the rear roller, means that we can get independent control. So with this mower, I can just drive it forward without engaging the reel, or I can engage the reel on its own. I've also got the ability to be able to adjust the speed of the rear roller independently of the cylinder. So if I've got a cylinder, I can increase my clip rate. If I've got a verticut, I can be more intensive with the verticutting, because I can slow it right down but keep the reel speed at the same speed. On the Cambridge, single motor, so when I slow the motor down on this machine, I've got 6-speed speed change on the Cambridge. Then it means that the rear roller slows down and the reel slows down at the same time. It also means that with this machine I engage the drive of the cylinder, but the rear roller drive won't come in unless I've got the cylinder driving. So if I need to move this from the shed to the lawn and I want to power the rear roller, then I have to have the cylinder running, whereas I can control them separately on the Stirling. If your lawn is close to your shed, well, actually, remember, this is a lighter machine anyway, so I can push or just pull this machine around relatively easily without having to engage the rear roller anyway. So that's what you get extra for your money. The weight of the two machines. The Cambridge, as you would expect, is a lighter machine at 41.5 kilos. The Stirling 43, the equivalent width, that comes in at 53 kilos, and the 20-inch machine, the Stirling 51, comes in slightly heavier at 57 kilos. What does the weight difference mean? Well, actually, if I need to pick this mower up and put it into the back of my car, I can do that. I'm going to be more reluctant to do that with the Stirling. But I can take the cartridge out, I can take the battery out and reduce the weight quite considerably if I do need to pick that up. But this machine is easier to pull and push around because of its weight in itself. But there's another important thing, is that the heavier machine takes more energy to drive it, just to push it along, so it needs more energy, or the battery will use energy more quickly on the heavier machine, which is why we have the bigger batteries on this mower. One thing though is the stripes, and we all know that actually a heavier mower creates greater stripes. In fact, that's not entirely accurate. It's very difficult to tell the difference between the darkness and the lightness of the stripes created by these two machines. But a heavier mower does actually create a stripe that lasts longer. The blades of grass, because of the extra weight, stay down for longer, so the stripe remains for longer with the Stirling than it does do with the Cambridge. And that's a function of the weight. Next is the grass boxes. And with the Cambridge and the Stirling, we're using exactly the same grass boxes. This is a 20-inch, this is a 17, but this same grass box actually fits the Stirling. We developed these grass boxes a couple of years ago now, and customers are really loving the lightness of these, the ease at which it tips out because there's no lips like you have with traditional steel or plastic grass boxes. Makes it really easy to tip out, and the ventilation that we get through the mesh with which this is constructed means that the grass clippings blow in and then the air can separate, so we get less blowback over the mower and more grass clippings retained within the mesh. The mesh is quite fine, so annual meadowgrass seeds and grass clippings are kept cleanly within the grass box itself. But many advantages of that, and the Cambridge is really benefiting from having that great grass box too. Handlebars. Handlebars are really important, we feel, on a lawnmower. It is the main interaction point between man and machine. And the Cambridge has the same sort of angles and design. The natural way to grab and hold onto the handlebars and your wrist angle is now incorporated within this Cambridge model. We've got a foam grip on here, and we've got the blade engagement at the front and the rear roller engagement on the rear bail bar. To drive the cylinder, I've got a two-stage engagement. Press the button and engage the cylinder. And then for rear roller drive, I'll do the same again and then engage the rear bail bar. And the machine pulls away. Two-stage safety, really important for the blades. Press the button, pull the blades, and you've got that two-stage safety built in. And you also have a 6-speed changer here, just on a little dial from 1 to 6, and that means you can get the speed that you want depending on whether you're working in an open space or a more confined area. The Stirling takes it to a different level, and on the Stirling I have just thumb buttons for my forward control, and I can hold the thumb button either with my left or my right. There's no need for a thumb to get tile if you've got a really big lawn, because you can just keep swapping over. The rear roller drive also has a dial here where I can dial 10 different speeds in steps. That means I can go really slow or I can go really fast. Slow is really good when I'm doing deep cultivations, fast when I'm moving the machine around or mowing in a really open space. For the blade control, I have a two-stage safety system, so I press the button in the middle and engage the front bail bar, and that engages the cylinder drive. But I can drive the machine forward, or I can drive the bail bar completely separately on this machine, which is just that extra level of functionality that we get out of this handlebar control. I've got height adjustment on these machines, so they're roughly the same height, and I've got 3 positions that I can adjust the height here for shorter and taller customers. And with this one I've got a lot more adjustment where I can adjust the handlebars into lower and higher positions, and I also have a tromboning function where I can make this higher or lower as well, so a lot more adjustment for the height of the operator. Getting down to the business end of the machine, then we're talking about the cutting cylinders. So we have a cutting cylinder and we have a bottom blade for the scissor action of cutting, and both these cylinders are extremely similar. The bottom blade is where the main difference is. So we use a lighter weight bottom blade on the Cambridge machine and a much heavier blade on the Stirling. The advantage of the heavier blade is that it makes it easier to set over the lifetime of the machine, and it's more stone chipping resistant because it's less likely to bend or go out of set. So just that's heavier duty and easier to set. The setting on our mowers is really easy and straightforward. You just use a screwdriver on these 2 points. You don't have to remove the cylinder in order to be able to adjust the cylinder to bottom blade settings like you do with some of our competitors' machines. Rollers. You can probably see that these rollers are extremely similar, and in fact they are same steel and same bearings in both models. They both adjust, and we're going to look at that in a minute, but they both adjust to lift and lower the bottom blade's height so that we can change our height of cut. On the Stirling we do have a scraper which fits to the front roller, which is sometimes in worm cast type situations is useful. Both machines have the rake which fits behind the roller, and I have one that I removed earlier. So this is the rake which fits behind the roller, and that's great at just combing through the grass. It gives 2 main advantages. The weed grasses that are lying down are combed upright and cut, and the second main advantage is that by combing the grass in the same direction as travel, then I'm going to get a stronger, more contrasting stripe that's going to last for longer. So adjust this at the correct height and you'll get extra better results, but it applies to both of these mowers. There's nothing dissimilar about that. Front rollers as well. One of the disadvantages of a front roller on a mower is it lays the grass down and doesn't cut it so well if the grass is too long to be cut with a cylinder mower. And in the box with both of these machines comes a wheel kit. The wheel kit replaces the front roller by going like so, and that leaves the throat of the machine open so the grass isn't laid down by the front roller before cutting. That applies to both of those machines, and that wheel kit is in the box with both of these mowers. And both of the mowers have an optional groove front roller, and as you can see from this, there's a small percentage, I think it's about 23% of the ground now is actually touched, and that means more of the grass is left standing upright to be able to get a clean cut when the grass is longer. This also applies and works really well in some of the warmer climate type grasses, or the grasses that become quite thatchy and thick, because it sits down into the sward better rather than floating on the surface. Option is available for both machines. Next we'll take a look at the rear roller while we're on the subject of rollers. And the rear roller is a really important part of a cylinder mower for controlling the height of the machine, but also for producing the amazing stripes that we want. So rear roller on this machine, this is the mower that I use on this lawn. Here, the rear roller rotates and drives the mower along. Our mowers, we pay particular attention to the differential drive. So it's a split roller and there's a differential built in there. That's not a simple ratchet system that just allows one roller to go faster than the other. This is a full differential system as you'd expect to have in a car. What does the differential system allow? It means that the two halves of the mower, when you're turning, the two halves of the roller rather, are allowed to travel at different speeds. This is particularly important when you're turning at the ends. Where you're doing a lot of turning, you can cause scuffing and therefore wear of the grass. And this, on a roller that as wide as a 20-inch or a 17-inch machine, we feel really helps reduce that erosion of the grass, difference of the grass at the ends where we turn. So to illustrate that, when if I'm to drive this mower, then you can see that these rollers here are perfectly able to travel at different speeds. Both mowers have that applied to them. Additionally, the Stirling has a glide drive system, which when the mower is not driven, it really pushes forwards and backwards very easily without having to drive the motor. On the Cambridge, that's also the case, but it's about releasing a V-belt drive on this machine, so it's not quite as smooth or as easy on this machine altogether. The height of cut adjustment on these is both robust, and it's a screw thread type height adjustment which allows us to get the height that we absolutely want to achieve. On the Cambridge, I rotate this knob at the rear of the machine and you can see that the rear roller is now being lifted to allow a lower height of cut. What I'm able to do is to look inside this window here and I can see the height of cut indicator there to give me a good idea of what height of cut I'm going to. So if I'm mowing one lawn at a different height of cut to the other, I can go back to the same height of cut really easily. On the Stirling, we've taken that to a slightly higher specification and we've got a gauge on the side here which is really accurate. And it also shows the height of cut when the cylinder or the reel is in, but when I'm using the cultivation cartridges, I've got a different scale because they're a bigger diameter cut, and that allows me to go in even deeper. To adjust the height of cut on this machine, as I lift the front roller, is as simple as that, and I get a really accurate indication here of what the height of cut is that I'm going to. Height of cut of the machine, slightly wider range on the Stirling. I go from 6mm at my lowest possible height of cut. That's really low for a lawn. That is sort of bowling green or golf green type heights of cut. And then this goes up to 32mm, which is about 1 inch and 3/16. With the Stirling, we've increased that height range, and actually this will go as low as you want to go. It's really the only limitation is how the bottom blade can sit on the grass itself, so I can go right down to 0 if I wanted to, except for I've got a 5mm thick bottom blade. So realistically, 5mm is my lowest height of cut. I can go lower if I want, and then this goes up to 50mm high, which is 2 inches. So now we get to the really big game changer with Allett mowers and us introducing this cartridge system for the homeowner lawn. So mowing with a cylinder is absolutely the best way to give a beautiful lawn and a healthy lawn. So if you choose to go cylinder, you will do that, achieve that with either one of these machines. But if you want to take the lawn to the next level, you need to do other cultivations. We have several videos on all the different cartridges that we have that we can insert into these machines, replacing the cutting cylinder. What we have found when we've spoken to our customers, by having quicker cartridge changes, what you are much more likely to do is to change the cartridge and do that cultivation. And if you do more cultivations, your lawn will become healthier, and you'll have less grass weeds in there, and you'll reduce the thatch layer in your lawn. And these are all extremely beneficial things, and we have several videos talking about this in some depth, and also the different cartridges and the uses. So fast change of cartridges is important. I have about 90-second cartridge change, and I'll just take the cartridge out of the Cambridge now. And maybe we'll be able to speed this up so you don't have to go through it all, but I can take a cartridge out and put another cartridge in about 90 seconds now on this Cambridge machine. And all I need to do is to remove 2 screws here. So if you want to start your timers now, you'll get an idea of how long this takes to remove. 1 screw comes out on this side. I'm using a 5mm Allen key to do this, and there is a 5mm Allen key in the box when you get this machine. 2 screws are out, and then what it allows me to do is to remove the cartridge. Like I say, about 90 seconds to put that back in, but I'm not going to drag this video out anymore. So that's a really great feature of this Cambridge machine. It really does give quick cartridge changes. The Stirling takes that to a new level as well, so we are achieving this even more quickly. And what you do with the Stirling is you move the drive lever to this position, you lift these 2 cams, and then the cylinder comes out. And I can pop that back in really easily as well. Just get it all lined up, drop it in, and back in again. And you can do a cartridge change in 15 seconds or less with a Stirling. We have videos of people doing it in 7. So it really isn't an objection to, oh, should I just give my lawn a quick scarify? Oh, I've got to change the cartridge, because it really is so quick. And now with the Cambridge machine, it again is just so quick and accessible to pop a scarifier cartridge in there to liven your lawn up. So in recap, how have we helped you choose between the 2 mowers? Of course, budget is really important. The Stirling is more expensive than the Cambridge in the 17-inch version. If I want to go to a 20-inch machine, then I will have to go with the Stirling anyway. Both machines I can get in 17 inches, so that's not an issue at all. The battery platform itself may play a part in that, especially if you're an existing user of either Greenworks or Ego powered products. The power of this with 2 motors definitely makes it a more versatile machine, especially when it comes to the cultivations. The machine will go slower, the machine will go faster than the Cambridge mower. Grass boxes, exactly the same. The weight, slightly heavier on the Stirling, probably takes it out of the easy lift zone, especially if you wanted to get it into the back of the car, but it does give longer lasting stripes, having the extra weight in the mower itself. Handlebars, I've got more to control because I now have 2 motors at both the rear and the rear roller, and this mower I just control the motor speed, which controls reel and rear roller at exactly the same time. Both machines come as standard with a 6-bladed cylinder, and you can have optional 10-bladed cylinders in both of these mowers. The rollers, front rollers, are almost identical. Both have combs, and the rear rollers are the same differential system as well. We just have the ease of the glide drive just to make this a little easier to use and to turn around. Height of cut is both true thread on these and both visible now from the outside, so you can get back to the same height that you've just come from. And then cartridge change, really big difference there in terms of the really quick ease of changing a cartridge in the Stirling, but really it's not an issue at all in terms of the Cambridge. The most important thing really that I've got to say is, as far as your grass is concerned, the grass is being cut by both machines by the scissor cutting action of the cylinder. A lot of the differences between this machine are about ease of use, ease of adjustment and comfort. They're not about whether I'm going to get a nicer lawn. You might get a nicer lawn because you're more prepared to mow more regularly or cultivate more regularly because of the Stirling. But as far as the grass is concerned, you are going to achieve a beautiful lawn with both of these machines. I hope this has not been too complex for you to be able to make a decision on which of these two machines you're going to buy, but I do sincerely hope that it's been helpful for you in making that decision. Thank you for watching. You can always go to www.allett.co.uk and find even more information on these products.